Ready? Alrighty, hang on. Yeah. Hereby call the City Council meeting for February 14th to order. If we would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, Vice Mayor Andresic will lead us.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Please follow me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, Linda.
Okay. Councilmember King. Councilmember King. Hello.
You're still doing the pledge?
Yes, here remotely. Yes, I'm here remotely.
Okay. Councilmember Mercado.
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Here.
Vice Mayor Andresic.
Here.
And Mayor Serra.
Here. Councilmember King is teleconferencing in from Big Bear tonight. Any reordering of the agenda?
No, ma'am.
Public comments? I have one. I see one member in the audience. This must be her public comment. Sue Shoshana, please step up.
No, he does.
Good evening. My name is Shoshana Schwartz. I used to be known as Sue Schwartz. I changed my first name. I'm here from the Buellton Senior Center to promote our upcoming fundraiser. Unfortunately, it is on council meeting night, February 28th. Maybe, I don't know if anybody in this room can come. But it is at Maddie's Tavern, and we have Rhonda Vincent, who is known as the Queen of Bluegrass. It's a major fundraiser for us. We're happy to have her. I've heard her online, and she's really good. She has sung with Dolly Parton, so she is somebody. And the fact that she's coming to Las Olivas just is a coup. And we're getting Maddie's Tavern, and there's going to be silent and live auctions, a full Southern-style meal, plenty to drink. If you can possibly come, please join us.
Thank you. And this is to benefit Meals on Wheels?
It's to benefit the Meals on Wheels program at the Senior Center. That is correct. Thank you.
Thank you. It is a major fundraiser, and it is a huge deal. And
thank you.
Yeah,
Is that just our Meals on Wheels in Buellton, or the whole Valley Meals on Wheels?
Buellton.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, closing down public comment. The consent calendar, we have the minutes of January 24th, 2019 regular city council meeting. List of claims to be approved and ratified for payment to date for fiscal year 2018-2019. Gentlemen, any questions? Any motions?
I'll move that we accept the consent calendar as listed.
Second.
Okay. Councilmember Mercado.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
And Vice Mayor Andresic.
Aye.
And Mayor Serra.
Aye. Thank you. Any presentations tonight?
No, ma'am.
Any public hearings tonight?
No, ma'am.
Council member comments / items? Nothing from Council member Mercado?
No.
Mr. Sanchez, Council member Sanchez, any comments or items?
I do have, I wanted to tell everybody I went to the Ronald Reagan's birthday party last week, and I was given the honor of towing his Jeep from his ranch down to Santa Barbara. And
in the rain.
In the rain. Wasn't that bad. Then, and I talked to Andy Coffin, who's the head of the Reagan, the Young Americans Foundation, and we discussed possibly coming up to visit the Buellton, and maybe him having some kind of a display in Buellton. So it's something that we'll talk about with the management and the Visitors Bureau Center. And
you had mentioned it earlier about putting something out on the Avenue of Flags, since Reagan was a big part of Buellton. And security, I was concerned with security, but you've come up with a couple of other ideas, so I think it's terrific.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll be able to bring something to display in the Visitors Bureau itself, so it'll be secured, and And it'll be a place where people that come in to see anything will have something to look at. Just
Another reason to come to Buellton.
yeah, another attraction.
Like that. Vice Mayor, any comments / items?
Yes, I do have a comment. It's on a sad vein, but longtime friend of Buellton, and we knew and worked with him well. Left Buellton a couple of years ago. Lou Adkins passed away.
Scooter Lou.
Scooter Lou passed away last Sunday, and but before when he left here, he went to live with his daughter because he was always needed to be in a scooter, and he was in a part of the country where there was lots of snow and those things, and I'm not sure, we haven't heard from her, but the Visitors Bureau told me about it today, and there's not been any memorial service, but I just want everyone to kind of remember when they approach the walk and don't walk sign at 246 southbound lane. Lou was very, in fact, I think he spearheaded that with Public Works, of course, but he was the citizen behind it, and it was a great improvement. And what he complained about, the few dips and potholes that we had, are replaced with a beautiful sidewalk now, and it's called the Lou Adkins
We have a plaque.
Memorial Brick. It's a brick, and it's placed there in 2017. So I went out today and took a picture of it, and if I hear from anyone from his family, I'll send it to them. But we will miss Lou, but he was a strong charging American.
He was great.
Yeah.
He was great. He was he really was
He never got in the back seat.
a huge proponent for our seniors and people
Yes.
who had difficulties getting around town.
Right. So, thank you.
Well, I had just two. I went to the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers on Thomas to check out their training program, which is incredible. It's like a 5-year training program, and they take anybody interested from high schools, colleges, anybody who thinks they have an aptitude. They take a test, and based on how well you do, they put them through training. While you're training, you're also working and you're earning money. And I just to think that we have something that impressive right here in town on Thomas Road was really impressive. And then Saturday I went to the Valley's first film festival, His Girl Friday, that is over at our Park Theater. They're trying to start something once a month, early in the morning, well, 9:30, not that early, but before the other shows start, and bringing in classics and all kinds of different, they want to bring students in the Valley, their films, to be seen. I think the next one is Pocahontas, and one of the cartoonists who did Pocahontas lives in the Valley, and he'll be there to do questions and answers, and it just was really enjoyable. So I'm hoping that the film festival gets going and gets some support. It was kind of a small turnout Saturday, but hopefully it'll get bigger and bigger. So, okay. And comments and items, written communications. Dave, I'm sorry. And any comments or items for you? From you?
Yeah, well, the only thing that I went to, and you attended as well, Holly and Mark, is the economic development meeting that we had, and Cosmot gave us a, can you hear that?
I can hear you.
Okay. Cosmot gave us a very extensive packet that went over many of the areas where we can improve on our economic development, the type of businesses that we can bring into town, the availability, et cetera, and I thought it was very informative. And they did a great bit of research before they came to that meeting with us, and I don't know your take on it, Holly, but I will pitch it over to you. And Art, don't get too comfortable in my seat.
Cute. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, that's why he wanted to watch on. He wants to see what you're doing.
There you go.
All righty, so we've got taken care of council member comments, items, written communications.
No, ma'am.
And thank you, Mr. Beardsinski, for correcting me. I keep forgetting our absent council member is still with us. Committee reports. Councilmember King mentioned the economic development meeting that we had. You were at a meeting too?
Yes, the Buellton Joint Facility Committee, they're still having some issue with water costs. Unfortunately, they've had some reduction of staff, so they haven't been able to complete any studies. So hopefully by March, when we have our next meeting, that they will go further with that, because they're still having some issues with high cost of water.
Well, the field's a pretty big field.
Yes.
So we're trying to
Well,
determine
mostly
whether...
not so much at Oak Park. It's more at Haneda.
Really?
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes, and then they also have some large capital replacement costs, so that'll be brought back to the
Okay.
council later. Hopefully March, they can get all their figures put together.
That's hard to do.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other committee reports?
None.
None? Okay. I did have a North County SB CAG meeting yesterday, and I guess I just need to, next Tuesday, that grant for the highway safety study, they're doing the bus tour next Tuesday, and on May 1st, they're doing a economic benefit of bikes and tourism at the Hotel Cork from 4 to 6 for any business owners that are interested. And Supervisor Hartman wants to start it off with a bike ride with Mayor Sierra and Mayor Toussaint. I don't know how excited I am about that, but I'll be on a bike for the first time in about 15 years, I guess. That was the end of the North County meeting. Okay. Business items. Agenda item number 3, consideration of new video equipment and videographer. Ms. Hess.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Member City Council. During the January 24th council meeting, council directed staff to obtain costs for additional camera to be focused on the public at speaking portion of the chambers, and also to look at a videographer services to actually run and operate the camera system. The system was originally installed in 2015 with one single fixed camera. So we spoke with the consultant who provides these services, and he's provided us a proposal with updated cameras that can zoom in and has better picture quality. It includes a new camera controller, the network switch, computer workstation, and the second camera would be held somewhere kind of behind council, facing the audience to the speaker position. Would also be able to get a better view of the board up where we usually have the presentations. The cost for the equipment, including labor materials to relocate and extend existing system, because it wouldn't be located at the end of the podium here. We'd have it towards the back of the room as far as controls. The cost is approximately $15,400 for that. And staff also reached out to videographers to do the operations of the video equipment and testing, make sure everything is operating properly, and to record the council meetings and planning commission meetings. And we obtained an hourly rate. One proposal was received from Patrick Meyer, and his hourly rate is $80 within 1 hour minimum. So if council chooses to approve these costs, the project would need to be amended into the fiscal year budget. A one-time capital cost of $15,400 be required for upgrading the video equipment, and we would need to amend to include the operation costs as well. We did an estimate because the rate is hourly, so if we estimated about $28.80 per month would be the cost for the videographer services, and this is assuming that's 3 hours at every meeting between City Council and Planning Commission meeting, just on average. So, you know, go up and down just based on the amount of time that the meetings are spent. And we would need to budget this and amend as appropriate as well. With that, if you can answer any questions.
Perfect. Any questions, first of all?
I do.
Certainly.
Have we had any complaints about people, you know, not being able to watch what they're seeing, or I mean?
We have had issues, and sometimes Sometimes it's just nothing we can do about it. If we've had disruption with the cable services, or if there's some, problems with the video equipment, we've gone through and we've had different FAQs as far as troubleshooting the equipment. Sometimes we've gone through everything possible, and it's just, it may or may not work. It hasn't happened frequently, but
we're
there
not
have
getting
been...
complaints like, 1 a month, 2 months, 5 a month?
No,
Okay.
no.
And then, do we know how many viewers we have?
We do. I do have some statistics pulled. I only have statistics for, obviously, the meetings in January and for the last half of 2018. And we have as many as 8 viewers, that's live stream, and as few as 0. So it varies from meeting to meeting. The spreadsheet that's spread around shows you the difference between the Planning Commission and the council meetings. And then on the table also shows lifetime views. So from that meeting, and as it's been posted online, how many people have gone back since then, since it was posted, to go back and view the meetings online. And at the very bottom, it just shows you current subscribers, because people can subscribe to our channel, just be notified if there's something on there. We have 12 current subscribers, 19 over the entire period, and 7 lost over that time period.
Okay.
What's with the subscribers? Do they pay or do they subscribe? Usually
No.
when you talk subscribe, you pay
They don't
something.
pay anything in it, but basically you click to subscribe to it, so in case there's any new activity on our channel, they don't have to be online to watch it. They'll be notified, oh, City of Buellton TV uploaded a new video.
And it'll be done electronic. It's like recording a...
No,
a
it
show?
just sends them an email to let them know that there's something going on in our channel.
You got to be hanging around your email address, huh? Okay. That's not going to happen.
Any questions, Councilmember Sanchez?
I'm not impressed with our, we're apparently not selling it very well because we don't have many viewers.
And I thought we were really
I
exciting.
was expecting to have a larger audience than this. Yeah.
Okay. Councilmember King, any questions?
Well, I can tell you right now, I'm watching it right now. There's obviously a little bit of delay. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. There's a little bit of a delay. I see the entire council. I know exactly who's talking. Andrea, don't get too comfortable in that seat either because that's Chanel's. So I can see that, I've got 2 people watching right now. And I can see every one of you. The only thing I might suggest is that you could zoom this camera in a little bit and crop it down, but I'm sure we can get our IT people to do that. But as far as getting a whole new system, zooming in on people, to me, that's a little bit extreme. Honestly, if people want to come to a city council meeting, come to a city council meeting. But the alternative is if you don't want to come, I'm watching this real time with you guys sitting there at the dais, and I can see every one of you talking, and I can hear you clear as a bell.
Okay. Alrighty. Thank you. So before we go to comments and a decision, I open it up to the public. Shoshana? No? No. Then I bring it back from the audience for discussion and a decision.
I just think Dave says it looks good on TV. I just think that's a big cost just to take care of 12 people. I agree with Dave that I think if people really want to come to address the council, they will make the effort, and they have shown that they have done that. So I think we're in good shape. Like I said, if we can get the IT, or Dave, I haven't seen it, but he says if we could get some a little bit better, that would cost us nothing.
And the complaints I've had have been that either parts of the meeting are cut out. It's more with our current system than upgrading to a better system. I think the Planning Commission just came up today from last week. So if we could get that in better shape, then after that, if we had more viewers, it might be worth going on with. Councilmember Sanchez, any comments, any thoughts?
No, I've gone on and seen that it wasn't available. It's not available till Monday, right, for this council meeting?
I usually try to get it the Friday after the meetings.
Oh, okay.
But
I was told at one time it wasn't until Monday, but to watch it, is it just on live?
if you want to watch it live, yeah, it's as we're doing.
Our website would get it. Okay.
Right. Councilmember King, any thoughts or comments? Or are you?
Well, I'll tell you one more thing, is I'm on the YouTube channel, which you can either watch this on our feed or you can watch it on our YouTube channel. And the subscription for this feed is 12 people. So whether people are watching it, on an interim basis when they're interested in our meetings or not, 12 people subscribe to a YouTube channel, in my mind, doesn't really justify changing the whole thing.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor Andrusik?
I originally asked that we look at this because when we've attended county supervisor meetings, public county meetings, they have operators, and it's not so much what the people are saying, it's the message that they bring through slideshow, the bullet points that they make. I think if you do a lousy job, you can run off most of your customers, and that's what happens in business. You don't build a business by having a substandard system. The technology is here. I believe it could be done. I don't know that Solvang has ever changed theirs, but theirs is kind of a unique situation because they're getting it as an amenity to their Comcast franchise. It's part of their franchise fee, and they've had it for many years. When I lived in Solvang, people would come into the meeting during the meeting when they heard or saw something. It was that interactive. I'm not trying to start that. I'm just saying there's a technology in our hands that we could do, and my only challenge that I had was how many hours we've spent, because we estimated 3 hours each meeting twice a month for planning and city council. That's 156 hours. I really don't think I remember 25-minute meetings, half-hour meetings of our council. So I think we're being when I look at all the money we're pouring out in the public sector for no return and people to come and vandalize, I just think it gives us an opportunity to show our citizens how professional we are, and this does not seem to be. I've sat in the audience when they were debating redrawing this room and making a bigger council chamber, hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is a minimal expense for something that we could. And I will also say that we use TTAC. How many county meetings are held in this chamber, and they could broaden their outreach to places. They could have meetings. I'm trying to remember the unmet traffic needs. I think they held them. They usually hold them in one or two of the different small communities for everyone to come to, and they're able to telegraph it or communicate it if the system is available. We've never had the system, so it just seems like a good reason to bring ourselves into the new, the time of thing. I've gone more than 5 times onto the system and see a blank screen because it either wasn't available or didn't transmit.
That's the biggest complaint I get too.
So I think we've spent a lot of. I'm not trying to equate the money. It should not be the money. It should be, is this a value? And perhaps we could do a survey and put it in the Buellton banner. It's not the banner. What is it called? The banner? The newsletter?
The Buellton Buzz.
The Buellton Buzz. Perhaps we could ask someone to put an article in the Buellton Buzz and see what kind of response we get. because that is mailed to everybody that gets a,
I would be
It's
willing to have a questionnaire put in the buzz for people to
I mean, it sounds
either
very negative at
contact us or
and-
City Hall. I just don't see with the numbers that we have right here that it's justified.
And we did a survey before we put this system in, and it was 50-50 on whether they wanted it or not.
Yeah.
So,
So,
Madam Mayor, can I chime in here?
of course.
Well, like I said, if it's an IT problem, we need to fix an IT problem. But I'll tell you, the quality of what I'm watching right now on this computer is, I can see that Linda did not make any coffee because I'm the only one that drinks coffee.
Well, that was a good guess.
No, I can see it right here on the camera, and I'm telling you, for us to spend $30,000 or $40,000 on a whole new computer system and a reoccurring expense every year for 8 to 10 people that are watching this, I think is absolutely exorbitant for us to do.
Okay, so the direction is to pass on it for now, maybe put out another questionnaire with the water bills asking residents to let us know if they're interested in an upgrade, and then bring it back if we get a big number of people that are interested in an upgrade to the system.
you know, we go to League of City events, maybe the next time you're up at League of City, someone could get with a company that provides that kind of service, see if they'd maybe come and do a demonstration for us at one council meeting.
We could do that.
We could put a little flyer, maybe spend a couple of bucks for an ad in the newspaper and say, we're, the following council meeting will be broadcast if you're interested. We're just trying to get public input from it. It seems like a worthwhile endeavor, but
I just had a question for,
I accept that.
how many people, it says lifetime viewers, so if everybody went and looked at a meeting, this number would go up? This is a tally?
Yes.
So all this, okay.
You just need to go back
Okay.
after the fact and click on it.
I'll get some more
I think
tea.
we need to make it a little more
All righty.
exciting here.
All righty, so you've got a good direction on that one?
yes, ma'am.
Don't need a
need-
yay
don't
or
need
no,
directions
just
from-
consideration. Okay,
Thank you, Martin, for going beyond just
well, look,
getting a dollar and cents.
agenda item number 4, discussion and direction regarding salary survey results. Ms. Reed?
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. At the council meeting of January 10, council requested that staff look into conducting a salary survey, specifically for public works employees. As you know, the city had 3 public works employees retire in December of 2018. And we've been struggling to fill those positions since. This is partially attributed to the low unemployment rate we currently have, and also because our starting salary for field workers is very low. The last salary survey that the city conducted was in March of 2010. For the current salary survey, staff looked or located other city salary data online and combined the information in attachment 1. We did our best to find job descriptions that best match the city's job descriptions. However, if the council would like to do a more detailed survey, we can do that at a cost of $8,500 using an outside firm. Currently, the Consumer Price Index for Southern California is 3.3%. This is the basis the council typically uses for a cost of living adjustment in July, which is the start of the fiscal year. If council chooses to consider a salary increase for some or all staff, the COLA should be combined with any salary increases. Staff recommends that the council review the salary survey results and provide direction to staff on either agendizing a salary increase for some or all staff members or contract for a more detailed survey with an outside firm. With that, staff is available if there's any questions, or if you would like handouts of the survey to look at,
Of the what?
of the salary survey. So,
Thank
which
you.
might be kind of helpful rather than looking at your computer.
Trying to blow it up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Let me just, I've got an extra one here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. So first of all, does anybody have any questions for Linda? No questions?
Madam Mayor, I do.
Okay, we're on questions. Okay, go ahead, Councilmember King.
Within the survey, were you able to, and I know maybe you'd have to go to an outside source, were you able to do a benefit package with this as well? Because that would obviously have some kind of a consideration.
No, we strictly stuck to base salary. So in other words, some employees get incentive pay for certain certifications and such that they have, and of course our benefits are all listed online together with all our job descriptions and as well as our salary schedule. All that is available on our website. But no, this was not comparing benefits. It was only comparing base salaries.
Right. Okay. I just want to make that clear because these numbers obviously would be incrementally different if we had all the different cities' benefit packages available.
Yeah, and that's what, a more detailed survey would have all that data, but keep in mind that other cities have equally good benefit packages. So
Right. I'm assuming that. Now, in order to have you done any kind of a research to find out how much it would cost us to do a comprehensive survey on all those? Which doesn't necessarily need to happen, but what we're looking at here is just basically salary.
right, and a comprehensive salary survey would be about $8,500. However, I did reach out to Solvang, City of Solvang. They did a very comprehensive salary survey. It ended up being 99 pages, and it cost them $14,000. Now, keep in mind they have bargaining units, they have unions, they have, and they went from head to toe on what they were comparing. They did at the end come up with 4 positions that needed to be raised, is what they recommended. 3 of those were director positions. So, it was interesting.
Okay, I'll throw that back to the rest of the council.
Okay. I just had one question. I'm pretty sure I asked you already. I don't see Guadalupe in here, and I know that Guadalupe is a different economic than us, but most people who work in Buellton don't live in Buellton, and most people who work in Guadalupe don't live in Guadalupe. So did you say that you had reached out and hadn't gotten an answer back from them, or what?
I did reach out to them, and as you know, Guadalupe is in a bit of a state of flux right now with employees and trying to fill positions. Their city manager is stepping down at the end of the month. Their finance director is gone, and so they are, trying to just get the basics done. So when I reached out, their HR person was struggling to get me numbers. It would have been a decent comparison just because they do have Parks and Rec, they do have, field workers, they do have, do they contract for planning? Or they have the contract for planning. So there's some things that would, go hand in hand, but, they've got some other issues going on right now.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I just had, following on Dave's question was about the benefits and stuff, and we are at a lower percentage per year for retirement, and I know that I talked to other people, and I was trying to tell them come over to Buellton, and the percentage per year didn't compare. They were getting 2.7% per year, and we're getting 2% per year, which is, not to change any of that. That's part of what we do or where we're at. But that the reason I brought it up is because we're not attracting the talent that we could. Whether the 0.7% is going to change that, but I do think we need to make at least something we can change. We'd have to, I don't know, we have to go to closed session, or we have to have another study, or what we would have to do to raise the 2 jobs that we're trying to get filled now that we can't fill. The salary on those aren't as high as what these other people are making. That's why they go to work over here, but our problem here is we train the people, they get their licenses, as soon as they have their licenses, they run off to another company. So,
Right,
thank you
and
for
changing that CalPERS rate is a bit tricky, because anybody that you have come in that is not currently in CalPERS has to, by law, pay their own percentage of CalPERS, which is going up in July from 6.5 to 7.2, that they have to pay themselves. We cannot change that.
I didn't expect that to be part of the deal. It was just that's what we're offering. So to change the attraction, it would have to be a higher salary. I don't think we're going to be an act of Congress to change.
No, and I agree with that. I mean, your base salary for your field worker 1 is $18 an hour, and for that field worker 1, and minimum wage is $12 an hour.
Right.
So to try to live in this valley on $18 an hour is almost impossible. And not that we expect everybody to live in this valley, because it's a gift, I think, to live here. Some people do live in Lompoc or Orchid or, different places. And that's not that far away if we need people on call and to come in. But they need to, make a certain amount to be able to feed their family and pay their mortgage. One thing I would like to bring back to you in April, which I plan to do, is that 6% deferred comp reinstatement for the employees who are not currently getting it. That was taken away during the Great Recession as kind of a compromise of, we're doing our due diligence to try to save the city money. But that was meant to be in lieu of Social Security. And so those new employees that have been hired since 2013 are not getting that benefit, whereas us that were hired prior to that are getting that benefit. And it doesn't amount to a huge amount for the city, but it's a huge, I think, benefit for staff. And I think it would go a long ways to try to entice people to come to work in Buellton, in addition to possibly raising.
And maybe you could
Those
go
field
over, if direction is given for increasing the salary, what the next steps from you would be for the council, because it wouldn't be closed session.
No.
Right, so it wouldn't be closed session. So let's just give a scenario, hypothetical. If you were to, say, raise those 3 field worker positions, the 1, the journey, and the lead, we could bring something back to you with a salary schedule that gives those new amounts with a resolution, and you can approve that for those 3 positions, let's just say. Yeah, and we can do that pretty easily at the next meeting, and that would be effective for the 3 people we currently have working in water and wastewater, and then I would re-advertise those jobs with those new salary amounts to try to entice.
So that would go into effect immediately then?
After the next meeting, yeah, the 28th, I would bring it back with resolution and a new salary survey that Chanel would put together with the new numbers, so it's all transparent and out there and on our website. And like I said, it would not only help the people that are in those current positions, but try to get some talent and maybe some local talent, hopefully, because it was helpful having you and some of your co-workers that lived here in town when we had power outages and emergencies and such.
And if cost of living was discussed, so you've taken both of those into account, that would be July 1st when that would go into effect.
Yeah.
Right.
Do that too. But the other thing was, you said there was a solving survey that they spent $14,000 on. Is there any chance to get a hold of that, and would that be something different than what we do? Or is that,
Yeah, I mean, actually, we have that survey. Whether they want me to publish it or hand it out, I don't know, because they spent quite a bit of money on it. But
is that a big secret, or we couldn't get?
No, and I don't know that it wasn't put online. I'd have to ask Sandra and find out if it is.
I just think that would have been. You could have this that you've done, and appreciate that, but also whatever they've done, just for us to see.
Sure,
and maybe also to compare and make a decision on what we're going to do with them.
And their numbers, realize that their numbers are what, is here. as to what's currently on their website. All these numbers are currently out there and available for everybody to see. So what you're going to see different in that salary survey are benefits.
Right.
And benefits of other cities. They did take smaller cities. They took cities out of Santa Barbara County. I believe they used Santa Paula. They used Ojai. I want to say Paso Robles. So they went outside of our region to try to get more cities that were similar to them, is this organization did, which is a good thing. I tend to think we need to stay within Santa Barbara County because that's where we live, that's where we buy our groceries, it's where we buy our gas, it's where we pay our taxes, it's where our property taxes go. So to me, our money needs to be looked at in the 8 cities in Santa Barbara County, not a city in Santa Paula. That's my feeling.
To be clear, the solving survey, was that just unionized survey of people that are in the union?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
it had all their department heads as well as their union folks. And there were 4 positions that were recommended that be raised. And one was the Administrative Services Director, one was the Planning Director, one was the Public Works Director, and one was a permit technician, I want to say, in planning.
And the salaries, though, in that study are 2 years old, so they're not necessarily going to match the current ones we have from the cities.
Right, so what you have here is what's currently available online. So it's going to be a little bit behind the time, their
From
survey.
what we see right here.
Right. Yeah, this is most up to date
Okay.
for
Any
for
other
base salary.
questions before I go to my audience?
I was saying, as far as a discussion of what would be the next, raise the salary, whatever, would that be just something that we would come up with staff or recommended, or
Yeah,
then it
so-
would have to be approved by us, I understand, but
Right, so basically,
I think
we've given you this data,
Right.
and you guys can do whatever you want with it,
but our
so-
time to discuss it and what's going on would be
right now.
here and now.
Right now. So before we get into this, the discussion, is there anybody in the audience who would like to comment on this? Bringing it back to council for discussion then. Gentlemen, I do see certainly the 21% lead field worker needs to be corrected.
Well, that's the one we're trying to get.
Right, that we can't get.
And that's the one we're paying somebody else to do the job of in the, at the wastewater treatment plant at least.
Correct, not full-time, but yes.
Right.
Yeah, and that position takes a little time to lead into that, right, John? I mean, you do, and Rose would back up on that as well. You need, certain testing, passing certain tests, and then having time on the job as well, right? So that it takes a little time to work into that position as far as timing on the job.
Yeah, I did. Whoever would take that position would be proficient in what he does. I mean, they won't know town. They have the other stuff. What I'm talking about is attracting someone to come try to get the job, and what's
yeah.
out,
Which is
Because
kind
right
of
now
hard.
nobody's trying.
Right, which if you look across that line item for lead field worker, it's a little hard to attract with those other numbers. So a lot of times you have to grow that person.
Yeah.
From a lower position on up.
Then do we pay for the persons to go to school to get these certifications? Does the city reimburse these?
They are reimbursed.
Reimbursed. So if they're being reimbursed, do we stipulate that these people have to give us 2 years or 3 years? You can.
We
A lot
do.
of companies do.
Well, we do for education.
Right.
And, we put that in the rules for education.
I mean, if we pay them and they're getting reimbursed, they need to reciprocate back to the city, saying that, okay, whether if we're gonna pay for this, whether it's $4 or $4,000, they need to guarantee that they'll be here for 2 years or whatever.
Right.
Or they have to pay part of that reimbursement.
Exactly.
But
Appreciating.
the job that we're hiring for is somebody that has to be certified, so they've already been through all the schooling, they've already got it. All we would do is pay the $300 to renew their license as part of the benefit here. They would have to get the license, but they also,
Are they taking a test for the license?
they come in
Then-
certified.
But they start out as at the lower levels,
Right,
field worker
right.
one.
And at the
Still,
lower
at
levels-
that lower level,
Yeah.
they're being reimbursed for education that they're going to.
Yeah, it's
But
not really an expensive education. They can take night classes, and they can, if they go, like I took college classes in City College, so I got to take a city truck down there and go to classes, and that was part of the deal. But then you get a certificate, and at that time, your pay rate gets raised,
Right.
and then you get that's part of your incentive to stay, but but that also gives you a license to go somewhere else
That's
with
what
that
I was
certificate.
saying.
So.
Right.
That's
And
why I already saying that you should, if you're going to go to the classes,
That's, the
that
city
you-
is paying
you
for
do
it.
like a promissory note to the city that you'll stay for a year or 2 years before you run.
Go out and look for another job.
Amortize the
Yeah.
investment.
And that
Right.
is in our personnel rules as far as when you get it, and the city pays for a degree. But
Yeah.
I don't believe it's in there for the certifications, just because John said, it's one thing getting a degree and going through that
Right.
whole process, then paying for it, and then you
The
go off.
education cost isn't there. You take a class,
It's
you take
pretty
you
minimal.
study at home, and you have to put in time. So when you put in time, your time is here working, and that's not really a cost to the city. I mean, I understand what you're asking,
Right.
but it isn't. We're not spending $5,000 to have somebody learn to be a grade 3 operator. They have to be here, have to work from one grade to the next,
Right.
and time and.
So what do we want to do, gentlemen? Do we want to look at all three of the positions? Do we want to look at the lead field worker position? Do we want to go back and get a 99-page report from somebody?
I think we need to look at
what
all
we
three.
can see?
We obviously have not been able to get qualified people in, so I think we need to look at all three.
And it sounds like it's doable at the next meeting to begin
Well-
that, to move forward, do it or don't do it. And so that's a big difference too, because people that are looking at, potentially looking at the application and the process, thinking, well, how long am I going to have to wait to get in there? Because the more you raise the rate, the bigger the pool comes in applicants. And which is good.
Right, and that
So-
was part of, when I started to do the staff report to go out for an outside agency, I thought, number one, it's going to cost a lot of money. Number two, it's going to take a lot of time. And
I
so
tr-
we're
I truly
wasting.
appreciate, because you had talked about going out, and you did this in-house, and I really do appreciate that. It's a lot quicker. I mean, there's a cost savings, which I truly appreciate, but the speed that this came back to council is even more appreciated. I'm just wondering if we need to have Linda come back with different degrees, whether we go with a 10% increase in this, and what would it cost the city, or to go, 15% on lead field worker, so there's only a 6% difference, and what would that cost the city, so that we have some options as to what the
Actually,
expense to the city would be?
I do have some numbers that I put together. So if you went to the minimum for 5 positions total, which would be, your 2 leads and your 3 journey. For your minimum, if you're at the minimum end of the scale, which I know this isn't exact, but it would be $46,000 a year. Okay, and if you went to the maximum of that average, it would be $60,000 a year for 5 people. So those are kind of,
And that's taking everyone to the top salary, is that what you mean?
so that maximum would be taking all 5 people to the top salary, which you're not going to do right away. They have to earn that and move up to that. But eventually down the road, say it's 5 years down the road, that would be the cost. That's $60,000, so.
But if we just chose to say across the board, say 15%, 10%, 10%, or something like that per position,
Yeah, it's going to
Something we
be,
could do percentage-wise and then just get a number for that, or
right, it would
decide
be,
to spend.
it would be less than those numbers I gave you. But then, you know, if you did an across-the-board cost of living, say in July, for all employees, that would be added to that 10%, that 15%, and that would bring them up to about that difference, you know, of the market value.
Of course, everybody else in these cities will be getting their COLA too.
Yep, and we did those numbers as
So,
well.
yeah.
And, you know, those numbers ended up being, for the 4%, was about $68,000 a year. 70% came out of general fund, 15% out of water fund, and 15% out of wastewater fund. And that would be effective like all the other cost of livings in July versus immediately.
Except for our vacant positions, which would be
Correct.
immediately.
Right, those would be immediately. So what I'd do is bring back a resolution together with a staff report indicating, you know, the fiscal impact to raise those 3 positions in water and wastewater effective immediately for the 3 people that are in those positions, as well as to put on the job descriptions to re-advertise. And we do that through the salary schedule because that's what's required for us to put online and needs to be transparent. Yeah, and we could do that by the next meeting. If you guys approve it, then it goes
That's what I
out.
would like to
It gets re-advertised. You know, we compensate the 3 people that are here doing the job, and it gets re-advertised, and hopefully we can, you know, garner some interest in getting some people on board.
What was the COLA number again, assuming 4%?
4% would total 68,000.
Okay.
What is the CPI right now?
Currently 3.3.
Okay. And we determined that in April, don't we?
Yeah, and that changes, and according to Chanel, I know she's not here, she wrote me an email before she left. Typically, that goes up in the summer months,
Okay,
because people are probably spending more money,
okay.
and taxes and gas.
But we usually base a COLA for our employees based on the CPI in April. So, and you've got a whole beautiful sheet on that one too, the history of CPIs and COLAs.
Yes, I do, yeah. So, and I think that's kind of where we have probably fallen behind in the years, and I know that's what you guys have done, and it's been fiscally prudent, but it's been 1% or 2% back to 1992. So that's a long time.
Not recently.
No, not recently, 2.7. Last year was 2.7. Prior to that, 1.5. 2% for about 6 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years.
I thought we had a 3-something one year, anyway.
You did back in 2008.
Okay.
In 2006, it was a 5.4.
First year on council.
Yeah, 3.5.
Okay.
So
So,
good to have that data.
Councilmember King, what do you think of Linda coming back with these increases, 15, 10, 10, and you know, an option or two to our next meeting?
You know, we can, in my opinion, I think we could do that, and then we can negotiate from there.
Okay. Is everybody else in pretty much agreement? Is
Who
there
do we
any
negotiate
other
with?
ideas?
Ourselves.
Oh,
That Linda's going to come back at the
No,
next
that's fair.
meeting?
That's fair.
For the lead.
So we're going to look at 15, 10, and 10, and you had another suggestion too, Linda, or?
Just, you know, if you're going to marry that with the cost of living, which the cost of living, you know, if you look at the lead, say, it's a minus 21%. So you do a 15 for that, and if we did a cost of living of 4%, that would put our lead people right up about at that average. You know, and the same thing with the field worker 1 and the journey. That would put them about at average as well.
Might
So-
put Journey a little ahead.
Yeah, one's at 13, one's at 4, 1% ahead. Yeah. But realize most other cities are doing
I was
COLAs
going to
in
say they're
July
all
as
going to go
well.
up too.
Right, so you're kind of
So
chasing
we're
your
looking
tail.
about the same.
So.
Sound good?
would it be, would we be able to make a motion today to do the 10, 10, and 15?
No, because the way that they're done, the salary schedule has to be updated. And so today we'll take the direction, and then at your next meeting, we'll actually have a resolution, which will be a motion second and a formal vote, and it'll update the salary schedule. And I believe, Linda, tell me if I'm wrong, because you're doing it on the 28th, that would be effective March 1?
Yeah, or February 28th, when you guys
You do
actually
it. So
do it.
come March 1,
I was just
the
concerned
numbers will
with
be up.
You know, we're just paying someone else to do the work. It was,
Yeah,
you know, to
get it moving as fast as we
you know,
can.
just the sooner we get somebody in there to fill the position, then you know, we can thank the people for helping us. And
Welcome to government. Okay, so you've got direction.
Can I ask a question before you go on?
Sure.
At that particular juncture, can we still negotiate? Or does it have to be a 10, 10, or 15 and that set in stone because we're putting it on an agenda?
No, Councilman, we could come back, and if the council wanted to adjust those numbers, we could adjust them right there at the meeting, and the resolution would reflect whatever you adjusted.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks.
Okay.
And just one question, the cost of living, do you want to leave that as is? Let Chanel bring that back in her regular budget process?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I would.
All right.
Thank
do
you.
that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yes.
City Manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Planning Department has received certification as a green business from the Green Business Group in the county, and will be receiving their award on March 13th at Hotel Cork, and everybody is invited to sign up for that luncheon. So I encourage
Sign me up,
everybody
Linda.
to, so
Sign you up.
if you can, yeah, we will do that. I finally got a hold of the owner of Motel 6 regarding the truck parking or the vacant area down below, and he is interested. Motel 6 doesn't want to use that area, so he's interested in doing something, and he's willing to take a look at a draft concept plan if we can put up a parking lot down there to see if it would work with the trucks. So I'm going to have a draft concept plan put together to share with the council as well as the property owner, and see if it's even feasible to get trucks down there and up and down and turn around. So
Is it Jerry Blue?
no, it's John Georgie.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
the family.
Yeah, the family.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that'll be good. And roofers, Valley Gardner, and Mike Green and Rose are all working on the golf course to make sure the building and the grounds are not leaking. And I think the temporary solution was some plastic on the roof until the rains stop, and then we'll get to, during the summer months, get to actual repairs of the roof. But I think that's being addressed, and Rose can touch on that.
There's still, there's not a hole, there's a vent at the top of the roof, so that's has an opening clearly inside. They're repairing some of the underlayment for the roofing, but a complete repair isn't going to be able to be completed at this time. So they've got a temporary solution to prevent water, at least from the roof portion, from entering the building, because there was extensive interior damage.
Not the pool table.
I don't think so, but that wasn't just from the roof, it was also from the way the ground was sloped and the side of the building, directing water into the building, and so there's a big mess, and it's been quite expensive to try to do the repairs, but we have to get it back into habitable conditions.
Yeah, what are we going to do?
And City Hall is closed for President's Day on Monday.
Okay.
That's the end of my report.
And before I turn this over to Mr. Murphy, there were two things I totally forgot under comments. I wanted to thank Rose for the signs on McMurray Road, for the residents coming out of the townhomes. I truly appreciate it. I had a couple of very concerned people, and you put signs up so the big rigs don't park right by the entrance to the driveway.
Right, and that's just temporary right now to see if there's going to be a difference involved with that, but, you know, there is no provisions
It's
for
not
red
permanent,
curb or anything there.
I got that. I really appreciate that, and I wanted to thank Councilmember Sanchez for going out to an elderly resident on Glenora and chainsawing a tree branch and hauling it off for her since she couldn't take care of it herself. It really was appreciated. Thank you. All righty, turning it over to Mr. Murphy now.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council will now recess into closed session for one item, public employee appointment for the city manager pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B1, and